Hi, you guys, and welcome to the kickoff episode of a new mini series we're doing called Becoming Known. You are in the right place if you're an established coach or a consultant and you have used a lot of these PR and influence and awareness strategies in the past, but now it's time to move up. Not only move on with your business, but move up. So let me explain to you exactly what we were talking about. In this show, this is the kickoff of our little mini series called Becoming Known. We have some powerful treats coming up for you in addition to what we're talking about here today. In the future, you are going to hear from the greats like Eileen Wilder. We have 2 episodes where Eileen breaks down her entire $1 million speaking framework in a workshop format for you. That is coming. You also get to hear from Angie Trueblood, which she is, in my opinion, the #1 podcast guest placement strategist. She's absolutely amazing. And Brielle Cotterman, who is a PR and influence strategist, is going to be here as well. All of these experts are partnering here with us on the Sweet Life podcast throughout this little mini series to help you have strategies that you can take to the bank to become known and expand your reach and increase your sales and become a thought leader in your space. You're going to hear my little dog barking. He's not feeling well next to me. So welcome to behind the scenes of the Sweet Life Entrepreneur podcast. This is episode number 271. And so all of the show notes that we're talking about can be found by visiting sweetlifeco.com. Click on our podcast button. And this is episode number 271, where we're going to detail every single thing we are talking about here for you on the show. Now, who is this episode for and who is this series for? Let me make sure you're in the right place. We have a lot of shows for beginning business owners, but that is not who this series is for. This is for those of you who are established coaches, established consultants. You've been doing what you've been doing for a while, and it's time to move you up to higher levels of influence, higher levels of impact, higher levels of income. The strategies that we're talking about in this Becoming Known series are not the basics like how to pitch yourself to be a podcast guest. We have those episodes here for you, though. You can just very easily search how to become a podcast guest and tap into those shows. These are for those of you guys that are ready for higher levels and more income. And what does this actually look like for you? It looks like you are now at this place where you find in your professional life where it's time for us to engineer that next level of your business, that next business model that you want to take you into the next 3, 5, 10 years. This show in this series and really everything we're doing on the next gen of the Sweet Life podcast here as we move into year number 6 is for you. This is the kickoff episode, and in this episode, we're going to talk about all the things that you need to have in place in order to implement the episodes in this series that follow it. So I'm going to give you a breakdown and actually a checklist of what we already have to have in place and what you already need to have decided from a strategy standpoint in order to implement the series that we're talking about here and all of the workshops that our guest experts are delivering to you. So at the end of this show, you're going to have a punch list of things that you need to make sure are in place in order for you to utilize the Becoming Known series. You're also going to have clarity. Okay, so I want you to have clarity on your Becoming Known strategies. We're using this episode here, number 271, as a place where you and I can get together and just really kind of unpack your strategy for what you want to be known for moving forward and how it fits into your bigger business blueprint. That's what we're talking about today on the show. And we are going to plot your Becoming Known course. So who do you want to be known to? Why should they know you? And are we even in a process of leveling up and perhaps even finding a different audience and building a separate division of your company? Those are all the things that we're talking about on today's show. So if that's what you're in for, then you're in the right place. Again, all of the show notes, all of the bonuses we have for you can be found by visiting sweetlifeco.com. Head over to the podcast tab and it's there for you. If as you're listening to this, you want to make sure you're not missing any of it, make sure you click subscribe and please share this show with your friends. We don't have advertising in the show, never have, never will, because I hate listening to ads on shows. I'm just going to be really honest, and I don't really think you like it either. So we really rely on you guys sharing the show organically with your friends across social media, and we'd really appreciate you doing that. All right, you ready? Let's go. Okay, you guys, we are diving into how to become known, how to establish your authority in your space. And in this show, I'm helping you prepare and strategize and position yourself so that we can do that and utilize the upcoming episodes. So, first things first, let's pause for a second. And I want you to ask yourself this question: what do you want to become known for? Just actually take a minute. Those of us who have been in business and have been entrepreneurs for decades, this has changed over the years. We grow into different things. So please take a moment and ask yourself, what is your strategic objective? That is the end result of the strategy we're about to apply. Are you moving from perhaps what has been a solo entrepreneur or a small team role more into a CEO role? Are we finding you a new audience? What is the strategy of why you're tapping into this show? And really, why do we need to do this for you? Why is it important? Do you feel like you're that best kept secret? Have you had your head down for so many years working with clients and giving amazing results that you haven't really paid a lot of attention to make sure everybody knows who you are? Because frankly, it doesn't really matter to you. But maybe, just maybe, you've now realized that it's the time to step forward and step in the spotlight for all of the amazing transformation and gold and work that you have been doing for such a long time. So I want you to give yourself a second here to ask yourself, why now? Why is this different than you tapping into maybe a handful of podcast episodes on how to speak from stages and how to become a podcast guest? Because your answer to why now is going to be what we use to craft the path that you're going to utilize these workshop trainings to make sure that we're actually pointing your ship in the right direction of where you want to go for the next 3, 5, and 10 years of your business. So why is this important? What do you want this leverage and this influence to deliver to you in your business and in your personal life? That's the first thing I want you to stop and take a minute to decide. Now, a couple of you guys, and I was just actually on calls with a few new clients that are working with us this year, are moving from a place where you really need to step into that CEO leadership role and other people are running your systems, running your programs, working your business for you. And so now we get to pluck you out of that and share your message to then, of course, drive more profit and income back to your programs, but it's in a different way. You're maybe no longer the worker bee and you're the leader. And so that is another reason why I want you to be really strategic and think about why you're utilizing these strategies we're here talking on the show. So what is the strategy? What is the reason for you becoming known in this next generation of you? And stop for a minute. And now I want you to think about, what have you been known for in the past? Because we could be trying to land, if you will, nail a new objective for something that's a pivot. Maybe you have been known for building yoga studios and now you want to be known for something totally different. So, a case study, it's really interesting. Many of you guys may know the story of Rachel Cook. I love Rachel Cook. She's one of the people that I learn from all the time and I admire her strategy and her wisdom. She's been a guest here on the podcast and she's one of our experts that comes in and teaches our clients in our Wavemakers ecosystem. Rachel Cook is seriously one of the greatest minds in operational systems business. Rachel started out by helping entrepreneurs build yoga studios. You would never know that. So I share that story with you because if you're to that place where if you're ready to pivot from one area to another, now let's make that decision together here on this podcast. I mean, it's your decision, not mine. I'm just here triggering you and telling you, hey, make the decision now. What does that look like? Because decision is that first step. And as you'll hear in the upcoming episodes, as Eileen Wilder says, fast decision, slow to change your mind is what creates the most impact in your business. So let's go ahead and make a decision, but make sure it's a strategic decision of now, what is the reasoning for this? Is this maybe something new that you want to be known for? And then, Who do you need to be known to? This is the next thing I want you to identify. And there is no worksheet for this, guys. This one doesn't come with a download. These are questions that I would love for you to pause and answer and speak out loud wherever you are as you're listening to this. Who do you want to become known to, and why? Are you trying to reach a new audience? Do we need to get you in front of more people? So here's your choices. We either need to have you become known to people who don't know you yet, or we need to pour on the gas to increase the awareness with an established audience. It's pretty much two choices. They either don't know you or they already know you and more of them need to know you. What does that look like for you? If, and I'm just going to kind of talk you through this here as you're thinking as I'm speaking, if we are building a B2B side of your business and in the past you've always sold to maybe individuals, and now we are building next level programs, particularly for those of you guys that are building bigger, higher level group programs or masterminds, especially for those of you guys who are building license programs. If you're licensing your IP or you're building certification programs, you know this is the podcast, and we at the Sweet Life Company are ready and waiting to help you do that. That's actually a different audience, guys. Because when we are selling to companies, we're no longer making you known to the end user. We might have to find that middleman, what I call that bridge buyer, to be aware of you and the solutions you provide, because then they want to bring that program in for their people or their staff or their benefits or their organization or whatever that is. So perhaps you may be already really well known to that individual audience, that B2C audience, but it's time for us to introduce you to a whole nother audience, even though it's the same product, if you will, because we have a different buyer. Perhaps that's what we're doing. So I want you to think about, who do you need to become known to? And are we adding more gravity, more fire to an established audience and increasing that and raising you up to the top of a swimming pool of 1,000 water droplets and we want you to be that wave on the top? Or are we putting you in a totally different ocean where nobody knows who you are and we need to introduce you from scratch? So let me repeat those 3 strategic questions that I want you to think about before we dive into this Becoming Known series. Number 1, what do you want to become known for? What does this next level of your business look like? And how do you play a role in that? Number 2, why? What is the strategy behind this? What are we trying to accomplish here within your next level becoming known strategy? And number 3, who do you need to become known to? Is it the same audience and we want to increase it? Or are we introducing you to a totally new audience and nobody knows who you are and we are kind of starting from scratch, which those of you guys that have been in business for a while, that feels a little exciting. It's almost like being back at the very beginning. It's not. It's actually really next level. But there are some new challenges that certainly come along with that we're going to be addressing here in the next couple of episodes in this series for you. So once you've answered those 3 questions, I'm going to give you a really quick punch list, and then we're going to wrap up this episode because, quality doesn't equal quantity. I want to give you exactly what you need and get you out of here so you can be working on these things, because we have some big time episodes coming up I want to make sure I'm saving your time and your energy for. So here's a punch list of things that you should have in place before we enter into a Becoming Known campaign. All right. The first thing is you need to have an established method, framework, or process where you know that you deliver people predictable, transformational, measurable results. You guys hear me say that exact statement like a million times on this show, right? So you have to be very good at what you do. You need to have gotten people results in the past. And you need to have your frameworks in place in order to do that. If you're struggling with that, one of the bonuses we have here for you is access to how to create your frameworks and access to our Offer Engineer, which is part of our Signature Offer Masterclass series. We'll help you do that. That's what we do as a company. We extract your genius and build it into industry-leading programs with you. you guys have to make sure you have your offer in place, or at least we know the offer you're building or the direction you're going. If you are building a whole new ecosystem of higher level offers, like you're moving from that B to C side, you've had programs, you've been a coach for a long time, and now we're moving you into licensing or creating a certification program. As long as we know that that's where you're going, that's enough for you to move forward in this. But please, we need to know what you're selling and who you're selling it to. Number 3 in this. So first one is method and framework. Second one is your offer is in place and your programs are in place. Number 3, please make sure your bios are updated. I know this kind of seems super basic, but I'm giving you this checklist. When is actually the last time you updated your bio or your photos or the messaging about who you are in your space? Those are things we do in the very beginning. And if you go back and you read some of your bios, they're probably a little out of date, especially for those of you guys who have been around for a while. So please make sure your bios and even the imagery of you. I was using this one headshot, which is so funny. My teenager took of me. I loved it. It wasn't even a headshot because I don't like professional headshots. It was more of like a lifestyle shot that I used for everything. And it had been this kind of poster of me. And finally I realized I was like 20 pounds less and way less wrinkles. And I remember seeing that picture and thinking to myself, holy moly, if somebody saw me now, they would be sorely disappointed if that's who they thought they were meeting. You know, I mean, I'm just keeping it real. Make sure your photos are updated. Make sure that how you present yourself represents who you are and your personality and your strength and shoot, even your weaknesses. If you're like me, I just try to air out all of our dirty laundry so you can learn from my mistakes. Don't use a very, very old headshot from when you were super skinny and a bikini when you were 18 if you are 55 years old. All right. Okay. So make sure those things are updated. And number 4, let's make sure you have a full media kit. Okay, there's a couple of things that I want you guys to have in place. We aren't even talking about these. This triggers me to maybe do a podcast episode on how to create a media kit. But a media kit are multiple pages that break down who you are, the areas you speak to, your areas of expertise, but then they also break down your audiences and who you reach and the different media platforms you've been featured on. A media kit also breaks down the brands that you've partnered with. So media kit is actually a full kit, and it can be multiple pages with, you know, your story on one page, a bio on another page, case studies on another page, audience reach and breakdown on another page, brands you've partnered with on another page. We use media kits in some instances, and those instances moving forward will arise here on the podcast. As we are moving into a Becoming Known series, I just want to mention to you that you should have, especially those of you leaders who have been doing what you've been doing for a long time, you should have a full media kit in place. And then at the least, you should have a one-pager on who you are, especially for speaking. We're also not breaking down how to do that in the show. Usually might have a different one-pager for podcast guesting, speaking on stages, teaching locally. We want to curate your assets to the audience. We don't want generic assets. You're going to send everybody the same dang one-pager. That's probably not going to land you what you want, especially in a very competitive space. We want you to stand out and be thoughtfully disruptive. So just make sure your one-pagers, your media kits, that they are curated and crafted towards your audience, okay? And then in that, you can also do, you know, your client case studies and testimonies. Other assets that are really important for you to have in place are, please make sure your website is updated. Funny thing, those of us, again, who've been here for a while, like sometimes we're so busy doing the work, we kind of forget to go back and have a powwow with our team that maybe that is out of date. Just make sure your website is up to date, your social media is up to date, the content that you're sharing is up to date, and the data that you're sharing is up to date. All of those things, please make sure that they're in place so that you can utilize what we're talking about here on the next coming episodes. This mini-series is all about becoming known, and we're bringing you experts and pulling back behind the curtains about different strategies that are cherry-picked to help you make these decisions for yourself so you can hit the ground running with trusted implementation steps. And that is what we're doing here, and that's our objective for you as we move into this next series. I hope that sounds great. I'm really excited about it. I can't wait for you to hear what's coming from these leaders. There are some huge, valuable, very expensive bombs that are dropped on these upcoming episodes. So please share this and get ready because we're about to dive into our series on becoming known. If you are new here, it's so nice to meet you. I'm April Beach. I help experts, coaches, consultants, speakers, and authors extract your genius and build transformational next level programs to scale your business past millions, courses, masterminds, retreats, licensing programs, and certification programs. So if you're stuck on that and you want somebody to help you engineer your next level offer ecosystem, extract your thoughts, help you organize it, and build it into next level programs, cruise over to sweetlifeco.com and you can apply to work with us. Otherwise, all of the resources that we're talking about here on this show in the past episodes and the upcoming episodes are found at sweetlifeco.com. Simply click on the podcast. This is episode number 271, and I can't wait for the next couple of weeks. Please share this with your friends. It would really mean a great deal to us. All right, see y'all soon. Bye.